What's up, Paper Boys? Today we are ranking every single game from the thinnest series out there, Paper Mario. A spin-off Mario RPG series that started back in the year 2000, and 20 years later, we just got the newest game in the series being Origami King. So how does this new one stack up with all the others, and more importantly, what is the best Paper Mario game? Stick around to find out. Also, if this video gets like, say, 75 likes, I'll rank the Mario Kart games. Okay, with all that being said, let's get right into the ranking. I'm just gonna tidy up. I thought this paper thing would work better than it did. So 6 Paper Mario games this time around. Originally, I was gonna build this up a little more, but take a wild guess, which is the worst Paper Mario game? Paper Mario Sticker Star. This game was hugely criticized when it released, and I can see why. It removed a lot of the things that people specifically liked Paper Mario for. The characters weren't unique anymore, but rather generic Mario characters and generic Mario locations, nothing we haven't seen before already. It had a boring story and stripped away so many RPG elements. So because of this, the main part of the game, being the battles, was just kinda meh, because they really simplified the battle system. You no longer have normal attacks or even partners this time, because every attack you do, you'll need a sticker, making this game all about sticker management. In theory, it seems like it could be a cool game mechanic, but out of theory, you start to see how flawed the gameplay gets. The big paradox of this game is that to battle enemies, you gotta use stickers, and your reward for winning battles is more coins that are pretty well only used to buy more stickers. So in that case, why even get into battle? I mean, come on, that's just poor game design. There were other questionable things too, like the very cryptic puzzles and the lack of originality, but I don't want to harp on this all day. So with even all that being said, to be fair to the game, I must mention some parts that I actually liked. While it did look and sound great, this time they went with a literal paper look, and it was a neat change that made a lot of sense for Paper Mario. And it just looked good considering the hardware they had to work with. Same with the music. The tunes this time around were pretty catchy and snazzy. You know, I ain't no musician, I can't break down to you how the vibratos worked with the habaneros, but what I can tell you is that I enjoyed listening to pretty well all the songs in this game. It did have some highlights throughout your journey, but the core of this game was flawed from the start. Nintendo tried something new, and it didn't work out that well, so can you really blame them for that? It's not like this was a reoccurring trend that was present in the following Paper Mario games, right? Okay, enough of this sticker talk. What are we, still in kindergarten? We need to talk about something a bit more serious. Like colors. So, Paper Mario Color Splash. The general consensus of this game was, hey, at least it's better than Sticker Star. And that it was. It did address some of the problems that Sticker Star created. Well, kinda. The characters were still pretty uninspired again, but the dialogue for the characters was a lot better written with a lot of funny jokes throughout. And there are a few original characters at least, like Mr. Glove Toad Guy. They did remove all those cryptic puzzles where you need a specific thing in Sticker Star, but in some bosses there still is a need for a specific card to be used. One thing that is just as bad in this game though is unfortunately the battle system. They got rid of stickers, yeah, and replaced them with cards, which is like the same thing. Exact same paradox that was in Sticker Star is also in this game. It's just boring and pointless once again. And it's so slow. Painfully slow. Every turn you gotta click the card on the gamepad, then fill the card with paint every time, and only then can you use it. I don't get what the point of all this is. Some parts outside of battle though were certainly more fun and creative. These were the best parts of the game. There's this cool Haunted Mansion section where you're dealing with ghost toads and suicidal Shy Guys, something along that matter. And another part of the game where it's a big throwback to Mario 3, music and all. It's a super fun level. And in this stage you normally play in 2D, but if you press Y you'll go into 3D, which is like a throwback to Super Paper Mario. So it's like 2 throwbacks for the price of 1. Pretty creative, I'll definitely give them that. All in all, this game did make attempts to fix previous problems, but it shared the same issues with the core gameplay. So Origami King is still in the race, as you can see. So the question now becomes, will this game surpass one of the original Paper Marios? No. No, it won't. Look, I really wanted this game to bring Paper Mario back to its roots with the fun gameplay, charm, story, and characters, but it didn't. It comes the closest out of the new Paper Mario games era, but it is still held back by some odd and baffling game design choices. But before all of that, I gotta talk about what I liked about the game, because there is still some positives. For starters, I actually liked exploring the different worlds and areas in the game. There are a lot bigger worlds this time, and as such, they've hit a lot more secrets, like these treasure chests over here. You might just be exploring and stumble upon a fishing minigame where you catch an origami fish that's hiding this secret rock and needing to open a secret door. Who knows what you'll find? Also, I found the boss battles pretty fun. It was actually a new gameplay battle I liked, with an interesting puzzle concept and many different ways you can go about attacking the boss. The pieces were also random every turn, and there was a timer which caused you to think on the fly about how to attack it. And now my complaints. You know how I was just praising the boss battles? Well, honestly, I don't like the battles against regular enemies. It just gets boring after a while. Once you figure out the few different combinations that enemies can be arranged in, it just becomes very trivial when you solve it, and I had no problem with most battles. Once everything was aligned, I literally just killed most of the enemies in one hit, and there wasn't that much depth in the actual attacking portion of the battles. Seriously, most normal battles, I didn't take damage at all. Even without that, it just felt tedious how you had to align up your opponents every turn. Also, besides that, this game still feels very stripped down. There is still no experience, partners, or unique character designs. These are three things that were part of the core in Paper Mario. This is what made the gameplay and the world great before. It might sound like I'm closed-minded and only like the old Paper Mario games, but no, I'm totally open to new ideas to replace these aspects. But the fact is, they just remove these elements entirely without any replacement or substitute, and without these features, it just becomes a stripped down and less engaging experience. I get it, you keep wanting to innovate and change the series in new ways so it's not the same game every time. But come on guys, this is the third game in a row with these flaws. I think it's time to start addressing these. It is the most fun new Paper Mario game, I guess, but unless the core is improved for these games, the series is going to be held back. The final three, always an exciting part of the video as the games start to wind down. The game to get knocked out next is the one where they just added Super to the title and called it a day. Cracks me up whenever they do that. Super Paper Mario, arguably, okay, let's be honest, most likely has the best and grandest story in any Paper Mario. The stakes are so high in this game. Normally a Mario game just has Peach getting caught, when in this one, well, she still gets caught actually, but so does Bowser in fact. And they are forced to get married to awaken this black heart, which in turn creates a black hole that is slowly growing and destroying the universe? Damn, this sounds like an Avengers movie. And this whole plan is being executed by the antagonist, Count Bleach. This guy's an awesome villain himself, who even has a backstory with one of the protagonists, which I won't spoil. And speaking of the characters, that's another highlight of this game, because they're all unique and intriguing. There's all the evil sidekicks like this secretary lady and this clown guy, a nerdy chameleon who hits on Princess Peach, and then there's just all the different side characters you'll meet in the different worlds. Literally the best part of this game is the whole atmosphere as to what is going on in this world and how ridiculous the situation is. The gameplay, while very different than the established formula, I still thought was pretty fun. Instead of turns, we now got real-time combat, more like traditional Mario. But you can still see the exact damage you've done to enemies in numbers and use RPG items to attack foes as well. The big thing that I liked is that they still kept experience points when you defeat an enemy. So this gives you a reason to stomp on enemies that you see and not just breeze by everything. All in all, this game was the first really big change in the Paper Mario series, but it was still able to be fun and different in its own right. The great, the wonderful, the one that started it all, the original Paper Mario. Nintendo wanted to do more with the original Mario RPG that they worked on, so they created a new game called Mario Story. They later changed this game to Paper Mario to fit with the theme of being set in a book since it was told as a story. And it kind of felt like it wasn't reality and took place in a story too. This was because of a cool concept that this game introduced, which was seeing traditional enemies of Mario games in new roles. These roles could be anything from random NPCs you can talk to even teaming up and having them as your partners as you progress through the game. It was surreal and interesting to see all these classic enemies acting completely different than what you'd expect. This game was really bold in trying to break Mario tradition. The gameplay was mostly a turn-based RPG, but in traditional Mario attire, there were a few platforming sections throughout the game. The platforming was fairly simple, but it was a nice break from the main gameplay, which was more turn-based. The beauty of this game's combat was that it was very easy to understand for someone who doesn't know a lot about RPGs. In a lot of other JRPGs, it's like you gotta command 50 different partners to do a synchronized attack all at once. The damage that your foe takes is all in really high and confusing numbers that are flashing on screen with an enemy that has a million hit points left, all while memorizing the exact input needed to defeat the boss. But the beauty of this Paper Mario game is that, oh, I know Mario, and he jumps. So yeah, I just use the jump on the enemy and boom! Yeah, he takes damage. No confusing numbers, just, yeah, that did 1 hit point and now he has 1 hit point left. Super easy to understand and to get people into the game. On top of that, there were just unique characters, an interesting story, creative worlds, and most importantly, really fun gameplay. Was there really any question? Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is not only my favorite Paper Mario game, but one of my favorite games ever. This was a game that got me into the entire Paper Mario series as a whole. This was the pinnacle of Mario RPGs. For starters, look at the setting. The stage is immediately set as soon as you start the game in Rogueport, a rundown, grungy seaside port. It had graffiti with a noose in the center of it all. Like, this is a Mario game we're talking about. And of course, all the chapter locations were unique too. A floating fighting ring island, a haunted ghost town, and an awesome looking forest. These are types of settings you really don't see in Paper Mario games anymore. On top of having a great overarching story throughout the entire game, each chapter had sub-stories that would keep the player engaged in side plots. There was one where your literal identity got stolen and you got turned into a ghost by another ghost who turned himself into you and stole your whole team of sidekicks, in which you then have to team up with an outcast ghost to eventually fight your ghost imposter who uses your team against you, and that's just one chapter. Every chapter has a ridiculous yet interesting subplot to go along with it. And I haven't even gotten to the gameplay of this game, yet it has to be peak Paper Mario gameplay. Took what the original started, refined it, and added even more features. The battle system just flowed a lot more smoothly this time. And you got a new set of partners to use in battle with their own set of different moves. It was just really fun to strategize between you and your partners to defeat enemies. This is actually close to a perfect game. Interesting story, easy to understand yet complex gameplay, funny dialogue and characters, unique locations, and unexpected turns in every chapter. Honestly, a really interesting parallel that I thought of for the general quality and reception of Paper Mario games is pretty well exactly like the Star Wars movies. The original one that started the whole series that was very well received and appreciated, then a sequel that took it up a notch and blew everyone away, a fan favorite and considered the best in the series, then the final one that was the least liked of the games/movies, but was definitely still a very good one, keeping a lot of the elements that made the other ones great. Then the series took a totally different direction, and is now pretty well considered the worst one in the series. A sequel to that which was better, but still nothing that impressive as it shared a lot of similar flaws. And a final one which was probably the best in this new trilogy, but still wasn't as good as the original ones. You think my takes on the Star Wars movies will piss off any Star Wars fans? Nah, they're pretty tame people. Also, shout out to this guy, Femi Ayo Jibenjo, who commented on my last Paper Mario saying this: Origami King is probably ranked number 4, so I say, you'll have to wait and see. I don't have to. I know it. The Thousand-Year Door is the best, and Sticker Star is the worst. Whoa. This guy knows way too much about me. Well, time to flip out of this world.